Welcome to Storied Audio. Mark Reynolds never imagined that a simple stop at a local bar would change the course of his life. It had been a long Friday evening, the kind that left him exhausted and craving a quiet meal. After work, he decided to grab a burger and a drink before heading home. The bar was crowded, people celebrating the weekend, music pulsing through the speakers, laughter spilling across the room. Mark sat at the counter, waiting for his order, letting the noise blur into a comforting background hum. His eyes drifted across the room. Then he froze. In a corner booth sat his daughter, Ashley. At first, warmth filled his chest. Ashley was getting married in 6 weeks, and he couldn't wait to walk her down the aisle. He'd imagined the moment countless times. Her smile, the music, Brian waiting at the altar with that hopeful expression he always wore. But the warmth vanished. Ashley wasn't alone. She was sitting close, far too close, to a man who wasn't her fiancé. Mark blinked, hoping he was mistaken. Maybe it was a coworker. Maybe they were discussing wedding plans. Maybe. Ashley leaned in and kissed the man. Mark's stomach dropped. For a moment he couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Then they kissed again, deeper this time. There was no misunderstanding. His daughter was cheating. Mark stood and walked toward the booth, his legs stiff, his heart pounding. He didn't remember deciding to move. His body simply carried him forward. Ashley. She jerked back instantly, eyes wide. Dad. The man beside her looked like he'd been caught stealing. What is going on? Mark asked, voice low but trembling. Ashley's face drained of color. Dad, please? You have a fiancé, he said. The man stood abruptly. I think I should leave. You think? Mark snapped. The man hurried out the door. Ashley burst into tears. Please don't tell Brian. Mark stared at her, stunned. The fact that she was worried about being caught, not about what she'd done, cut deeper than he expected. You need to tell him yourself. I can't. Then I will. No, she cried. Dad, you have no right to interfere. No right. Mark said. He's planning to marry you. He deserves the truth. Ashley grabbed her purse and stormed out, leaving Mark standing alone, feeling like he no longer recognized his own daughter. The next morning things got worse. When Mark walked into the kitchen, his wife Karen was waiting, arms crossed. Ashley told me what happened, she said. You need to stay out of her relationship. Mark frowned. What? It's none of your business. She's cheating on her fiancé, Mark said, disbelief rising. Karen sighed. People make mistakes. A mistake? Mark asked. She didn't accidentally kiss another man. She's under pressure, Karen insisted. Mark stared at her. Instead of condemning Ashley's actions, Karen was angry at him. It's wrong to let Brian marry her without knowing, Mark said. Karen's expression hardened. If you're going to ruin Ashley's wedding, maybe you should leave. The words hit him like a punch. He waited for her to take them back. She didn't. Ashley came downstairs minutes later. Instead of apologizing, she sided with her mother. Both women blamed him. Neither cared about the young man being deceived. By evening, Mark had made a decision. He packed his bags, loaded them into his truck, and drove away. Neither Karen nor Ashley tried to stop him. A week later, Mark was living in a small cabin in a neighboring town. It wasn't fancy, but it was quiet. Honest. Peaceful. Every night he sat alone, replaying everything. And every night he returned to the same thought. Brian deserved to know. One evening, Mark found Brian's number and called. Would you meet me for coffee tomorrow? The next morning, they sat across from each other in a small diner. Brian smiled politely. What did you want to talk about? Mark took a deep breath. Then he told him everything. He described the bar, the man, the kiss, the confrontation. Brian's expression slowly collapsed. The smile faded. His hands trembled. When Mark finished, silence filled the booth. Finally Brian whispered, Thank you for telling me. I'm sorry, Mark said. I loved her, Brian replied, voice breaking. A few days later the engagement ended. The wedding was cancelled. Ashley called him repeatedly. Brian ignored every call. She apologized through messages and emails, but the trust was gone. For the first time, Ashley faced real consequences. Meanwhile, Karen's anger faded. The house felt empty without Mark. She missed the sound of his truck, their evening conversations, their morning coffee. Ashley missed him too. Despite everything, he had always been the one she trusted most. Weeks turned into months. Both women realized how badly they had treated him. They called, texted, wrote letters. Mark responded to none of it. Then one afternoon, Karen received divorce papers. Her hands shook as she opened the envelope. She immediately called Mark. To her surprise, he answered. Hello. Tears filled her eyes. Mark, please don't do this. It's already done. We can fix this. No, Karen. Please. We were wrong. Mark sighed. I can't trust you anymore. Karen cried. Ashley cried beside her. I loved you both enough to tell the truth, Mark said quietly. You treated me like the enemy for doing it. Neither woman had an answer, because deep down they knew he was right. The divorce became final 6 months later. Mark moved several states away and started a new life. Karen and Ashley never stopped missing him. Years passed, but the regret remained, because eventually they realized the truth. Mark hadn't ruined Ashley's wedding. Ashley had ruined it herself. Mark hadn't abandoned his family. They had pushed him away because he refused to ignore what was wrong. And the hardest part was knowing that the man they lost had only been trying to do the right thing. Subscribe to the channel for more audio stories.